So for this video, I'm going to do some basic maintenance on this Nepenthes spectabilis by ventricosa. I repotted this plant maybe, well, we can check on the tag because I always write it on my tag. Okay, so I repotted it 8/20, so that was about 2 months ago. And this plant during the repot had all these pictures, right? But as what happens during repots, the plant loses some, just doesn't like moving pots. But it seems to have really enjoyed the repot as well. All of this is brand new growth since I moved it into the living room. We had one pitcher that aborted after it because of the repot, but I think the next one is going to look really good. So you can see that this pitcher is just starting to inflate, and I think this one is going to turn out great. I put it into a hanging pot because these ventricosa hybrids like to sprawl a lot, and I think it's really beautiful. It has these gorgeous little pitchers hanging down. These two pitchers made it through the transition, and I just love them. So take a look at them here. They've got that lovely elongated shape, very nice striped peristomes that comes from the spectabilis parent, and then they are mostly wingless that comes from the ventricosa parent. But I just really like them. Lots of beautiful color, kind of an underrated Nepenthes in my opinion. I mean, just look at all those gorgeous reds and dark yellows. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these pitchers. I keep the pitchers on as long as there's fluid in them. As you can see, these are completely dry and there's no more fluid in there. When a pitcher starts to get crunchy at the top, what I like to do is fill it with like 5 or 6 Osmocote pellets, which is huge. You only want to put like 1 Osmocote pellet into like a fresh pitcher like this anymore, and it'll burn the bottom of the pitcher. You can see these guys are fine. They don't have burnt bottoms. But when they start to die off, there's no point in trying to make it look good. So what I do is I pump it with those Osmocote pellets, and then those nutrients go into the plant. The pitcher dies faster, but it was already dying, and then it contributes to all of this new growth on the plant itself, which can then fuel the production of new pitchers. So that's just kind of one of my things. This plant also has some hitchhikers. Seems like all the plants I get from California carnivores have little hitchhikers on them, which I love. So these are 2 Drosera capensis here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these pitchers off and just do some basic maintenance. So all I'm going to do is take this pair of fancy kitchen scissors. Really should sterilize these in between plants so that you don't get cross-contamination. Let's see, so all these pitchers are completely dry. So the way I cut them off is I cut it at the base of the leaf. The leaf is still photosynthesizing, even though this one's pretty red. It got sunburned a little bit way back in the day. But I'm just going to leave it on so that it can keep photosynthesizing. Just trim all of these off. This one too. All right, looking good. And it looks a little bare of pitchers now, but that's totally okay. It's going to grow back. It looks like I have some leftover stumps of old leaves here. When the leaf dies back, which they do naturally, because these are vining plants, mind you. So when the leaf dies back, sorry about that, it'll leave this just brown stem. This is normal as long as it's firm, it's not rotting or anything. But you just want to cut off any excess here, just so I think it looks better that way. Leaves it clean so that any new basil shoots that come out of the base can do so and get light right away. There's not a bunch of dead material covering it up. You can see this plant did suffer sunburn in the past. I had the light intensity way too high on it, but now it looks really good. These leaves look great for having been in a south-facing window for the past 2 months. Okay, let me just take a look. Yeah, so these leaves are looking pretty good, these new leaves. Nice dark green. Just look for any pests. I'm going to cut off this aborted pitcher when it's dried up like that, it's not going to do anything. So might as well cut it off like that. Okay, so this pitcher plant looks great now. Just going to water it and hang it back up in the living room.